Welcome to our World News Update for August 20th, 2021. Those who know me personally will tell you I don't watch the news. I regularly have people come to me and say, "Steve, did you see this?" or "Steve, did you see that?" And my answer is almost always no. But it's normally because of those coming to me that I do these reports, as it forces me to do the research for myself. When I do, I can't believe what I see most of the time. And this time around is no different. In fact, I confess this time I had to do all I can to keep my jaw from hitting the ground in disbelief. To start things off, I want to read a quote from U.S. News that came out last week. Still, while more severe measures, such as mandating vaccines for interstate travel or changing how the federal government reimburses treatment for those who are unvaccinated and become ill with COVID-19, have been discussed, the administration worried that they would be too polarizing for the moment. That's not to say they won't be implemented in the future, as public opinion continues to shift toward requiring vaccinations as a means to restore normalcy. So, mandating vaccines for interstate travel is now actually being discussed. Once this report came out, the governor of South Dakota, Kristi Noem, said she won't support a federal vaccinate mandate for interstate travel. Noem tweeted, "If the Biden administration tries to mandate vaccinations for interstate travel, we will stand up. Governors are often the last line of defense to protect freedoms, and we should be reminding the federal government what its job is and what it isn't. We need more governors like Governor Kristi Noem." I've said this before, and I believe it needs to be repeated. It's not the government's job to protect our health. It's the government's job to protect our freedoms and rights. It's our job to protect our health. As a friend once told me, those in political positions aren't our leaders like the news media keeps referring to them as. They're elected representatives, not leaders. They're supposed to be the public servants who protect the rights of the people. Yet, world governments, including the U.S., are working at making vaccine passports the new normal. So, if you don't have the vaccine passport, you'll not be allowed almost anywhere in public. On a different note, many know the U.S. has now left Afghanistan. However, what's not being widely discussed is how we left tons of military equipment behind. It was mostly left for the Afghan army. However, their army gave it all up with almost hardly a shot being fired. Quoting from AP News, "Built and trained at a 2-decade cost of $83 billion, Afghan security forces collapsed so quickly and completely, in some cases without a shot fired, that the ultimate beneficiary of the American investment turned out to be the Taliban. They grabbed not only political power, but also U.S.-supplied firepower, guns, ammunition, helicopters, and more. The Taliban captured an array of modern military equipment when they overran Afghan forces who failed to defend district centers. Bigger gains followed, including combat aircraft, when the Taliban rolled up provincial capitals and military bases with stunning speed, topped by capturing the biggest prize, Kabul, over the weekend. A U.S. defense official on Monday confirmed the Taliban's sudden accumulation of U.S.-supplied Afghan equipment is enormous. The official was not authorized to discuss the matter publicly and so spoke on the condition of anonymity. The reversal is an embarrassing consequence of misjudging the viability of Afghan government forces by the U.S. military, as well as intelligence agencies, which in some cases chose to surrender their vehicles and weapons rather than fight. From defensenews.com, August 17th. Once the Taliban seized control of Afghanistan's airfield in Kandahar on Friday, it didn't take long for photos to appear on social media showing Taliban fighters posing with military helicopters such as U.S.-made Blackhawks and Soviet-made Mi-17s. After the group took over Mazar-e-Sharif Airport this weekend, more photos followed, this time of Taliban members standing next to an A-29 attack plane and MD-530 utility helicopter. Now, with Afghanistan under Taliban control, the question is no longer whether the organization will gain access to the Afghan Air Force's inventory of U.S.-provided planes and helicopters, but what it plans to do with them, and what the U.S. military can do in response. The Afghan Air Force operated a total of 211 aircraft with about 167 planes and helicopters available for use as of June 30th, according to a July report by the Special Inspector General for Afghanistan's Reconstruction. Bradley Bowman, a former Black Hawk pilot who served in Afghanistan and has sharply criticized the U.S. withdrawal, told Defense News there's no doubt that they've captured hundreds of Humvees and artillery and other equipment and aircraft. This should be deeply, deeply troubling to Americans, not only because we help fund those and provide those, but because how the Taliban could benefit. To me, there's little doubt this equipment will be poised against Israel in the near future. But let it be known, their hate for America is just the same. However, for some reason, a CNN reporter tried to downplay that hate when she said the following in front of the abandoned U.S. Embassy in Afghanistan. They're just chanting death to America, but they seem friendly at the same time. They're just chanting death to America. Let that sink in, folks. A link to that clip is below. With the U.S. abandoning Afghanistan, the worldview of the U.S. is quickly changing. From the HalTurnerRadioShow.com, just one day after the United States collapse in Afghanistan, China's Eastern Theater Army Command dispatched warships, anti-submarine warfare aircraft, and fighter jets to surrounding maritime and aerial areas near the island of Taiwan. The publicly stated reason is for military exercises, including joint live-fire assaults and testing the command troops' integrated joint operation capabilities, Senior Colonel Xia Yi, spokesperson of the command, announced. Fears of World War III have been reignited after China warned Taiwan it should be trembling as the U.S. won't protect the island from invasion. Will the U.S. defend Taiwan, or will the words of China prove true? While China now begins to test the backbone to the U.S., and our military equipment is being handed over to terrorists, our government has decided to shift the attention off of that and onto new terror threats. The internet is buzzing about a very short clip given on NBC Nightly News report. That report said, DHS says this new terrorism advisory is not based on any actual threats or plots, but it says there's a rise in anti-government rhetoric. Some of it is opposition to COVID public health rules like mask and vaccine measures. Some calls for violent action are based on claims of election fraud or a belief that Donald Trump can be reinstated. And DHS says the coming 20th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks and religious holidays later this year could be catalysts for violence. So while our government hands over our military equipment and guns to terrorists, they want to rebrand who terrorists are and take away the guns of its own citizens. Something to think about. But this mentality is on the local level just the same. In fact, Arkansas Senator Bob Ballinger said this on Facebook: "You terrorists, shut up about the forced vaccines and put on your mask as you are told." I'm placing a link below to a video I believe all government officials need to see. It's from the doctor who treated Donald Trump when he became ill. It's from Dr. Zelenko. Please consider taking 30 minutes to watch it. Plus, we're also linking a 10-minute video revealing what doctors are finding in the blood samples of their patients who have been vaccinated. These videos are worth the time to watch. Please click the links below to watch them. The days we're living in are getting more and more interesting with each passing week. With that in mind, may we never forget Ephesians 6:10. Finally, be strong in the Lord and in His mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. There's plenty going on in the world to serve as constant reminders for us to stay in prayer at all times. May we always be attentive to what Yahweh is doing. We don't know the future, but we know the one who does. So let's make it a point to pray as we walk through our everyday routines. Make more time to read. Make it a point to invest more time into your relationship with our Heavenly Father like never before. That way, regardless of what lies ahead, we know we're in good company. Keep your hearts humble in Him as we all learn and grow together in His Word. Blessings and shalom.